I'm going to talk a little bit about Microsoft Azure, specifically IAAS and PAAS. We're going to get into the definitions of those in a minute. To date, I've done most of my experience with cloud providers has really been with Amazon and AWS, and we're talking, quite a few years of experience working in that realm. And I've got a new project coming up, and it looks like it's going to go the Azure route. And so I need to start studying this technology. And as I go along, I was thinking I'd start introducing terms to you guys. So we're going to dig into these two terms today. Let's start with IaaS, or Infrastructure as a Service. In IaaS, Azure provides virtualized computing resources over the internet. Think of this as your virtual data center in the cloud. With IaaS, you have control over your infrastructure. So that means your virtual machines, your storage, and your networking. So it's like having the keys to your own server room, but in the cloud. Now, shifting the focus over to PaaS, in the PaaS model, Azure takes care of all of the underlying infrastructure, allowing developers to focus solely on building and deploying their applications. So with PaaS, you don't have to worry about stuff like operating system upgrades. You don't have to worry about your SQL Server upgrades. All of that stuff is being managed and outsourced to Azure. So PaaS abstracts away the complexities of managing servers and lets developers concentrate on either developing their code or supporting applications that they're running in Microsoft Azure. It's really about efficiency, speed, and seamless application development and deployment. So whether you're running complex applications with unique requirements, which would lean you towards IaaS, or if you're developing rapidly trying to develop applications, which would lean you towards PaaS, Azure can provide both that functionality. So you've got a lot of flexibility with which way that you want to go. This is a nice diagram that I found on the Microsoft website that really kind of brings us through the evolution of what we're talking about. So this down here, a physical server, this is kind of where we were, 10, 15 years ago, where we had all, everyone had their own data center, or they would actually rent a some space in a data center. And so they would install their hardware there, and everything, any software they were running, they were maintaining themselves. And so everything was on you and on your staff to make sure that those machines were up and operating and they were maintained properly. Then virtualization was introduced, and that allowed us to create virtual machines and appliances, which kind of made it relieved some of the responsibilities for people. It made things easier to move. You can move applications between servers much more easily, allows for easier upgrades, and just was just a stepping stone in the direction of where we're going today. And then as the cloud providers were introduced, really they started out with the infrastructure as a service. And that's where you have a VM running in Azure or in AWS or in Google's cloud, and you're able to manage that machine without having to physically interact with it in any way. And so that's what we're talking about is infrastructure as a service. It still isn't needed today because we've got specialized needs in some cases where we just can't go to platform as a service, which is the next step up on the evolution curve here. So you've got a platform as a service where you're either kind of renting a managed instance within SQL Server, and that's where you have like a group of databases that you need to have, somehow they need to be able to communicate with each other. But you also have the choice, if you've got a simple application, to go with Azure SQL Database as a choice. So this is a nice evolution graph of, maybe where we were 10 or 15 years ago to where we are today. And I really do see most organizations really leaning towards this. They really like the idea of not having to maintain operating system and database versions. But there are needs for there are specialized needs. So I believe that we're going to stick in this realm for probably, uh, at least over the short to midterm here. For sticking around this long. If this is something that you'd like to hear more about, Microsoft Azure, please let me know. Drop a comment below or a question, Or if there's anything else on your mind, let me know. Talk to you later. Bye.